welcome to the Homeschool Show. I'm Amanda Wares, your host, and I have with me today Melanie Willis. Hey, Melanie.
Hi, how are you today?
Doing well. I am ready for spring.
I was just going to say the same thing.
We are out of February. Woohoo!
Yes.
I was trying to explain to somebody the other day about my feelings about the month of February, and in terms of homeschooling, like in other things, it's very good. I have, my husband's birthday. There's good things in February, of course. But in terms of homeschooling, it is my least favorite month. It really is. And I have explained why multiple times. But I was telling somebody the other week about why I dislike it so much. And now it's over. Yay.
We get to go to March.
That's right. Exactly. All right. What do we have today?
So, first off, we are going to have part of an interview that you did with Christy Faith, who she had one little viral TikTok and suddenly became this homeschool mom, teacher, everything. And she has written a book. She is the host of the podcast, The Christy Faith Show. And she also is the founder of the Thrive Homeschool Community.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the Thrive Homeschool Conference that we will mention right now. Christy is one of the featured speakers at this year's Thrive Homeschool Conference.
Absolutely. I know, it's so funny to me. I don't know if I've mentioned before on this show, but I really like TikTok. I know some people will be like, oh no, about that, but I enjoy TikTok, and I actually saw that viral video, and that was my introduction to Christy Faith a while ago. And then I got to meet her at a National Leaders Conference, and she is a delight. And you all need to come to Thrive to hear her in person. She is wonderful, and you will enjoy her and be so encouraged and equipped by her. So let's watch this video. What are the biggest benefits of homeschooling that you see?
Oh, man. Yes. Can I just tell you, I just love this lifestyle. I love the connection that I have with my kiddos. And back when I first started homeschooling, and I was kind of I made this thing called a commonplace journal, and I would find really great quotes and I would copy them down. And I remember very early on copying down a quote that you guys probably all know, but maybe haven't heard for years. It's Frederick Douglass, where it's easier to let me find the quote here. It's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. And I know that we've heard that before, but I love just coming across that and reminding myself of that. It's almost a why statement, honestly, when we talk about homeschooling. Of course we love the flexibility, we love the customization of homeschooling, but what I love the most, I think, can boil down to three things. One, of course, I love giving my kids the foundational academics in half the time. We all love that, right? But what I really love are two other things about homeschooling. And I think arguably, just based on my career in education and all of the research that I've done, is probably these two things are probably more important than academics. And that is, one, soft skills. And we know this, right? We've read Duckworth's Grit. We know about emotional intelligence. We know about frustration tolerance. But what I don't think we've connected yet in society, it certainly hasn't trickled down into the school system, is that it's more of those soft skills that are indicators of future success. But not only future success, also future contentment, which goes into the second piece that I love about homeschooling, is that I can really focus on emotional intelligence and emotional awareness with my kiddos, because I know that if we can model healthy relationships, if Scott and I can model a really healthy marriage, if we can have the expectation that the siblings, treat each other with respect when they're doing their schoolwork and they hit something really hard, if we can use that as an opportunity to stop and pause and work on those lagging skills that could be leading to a lot of frustration. Those things, that's the magic. That's the thing that when they're an adult, that's going to get them through hard times and things like that. So, that's what I absolutely love. And this is what, and I want to shout this from the rooftops. There's no way your kid can get this in the public school system or private. It's just, they have just dichotomized everything. Everything is just compartmentalized and separate. And our kids are thrown into a toxic social environment. And then we scratch our heads and wonder why the schools now need to bring in SEL learning, which is, that's the acronym for social emotional learning. Like, there's a crisis in mental health. Let's add this program. Oh no, there's a crisis in depression. Let's add this program. Let's add this. Let's add this. And we're like knocking on the window going, but it's broken. Like, why are you guys surprised? Right. And it's because there truly is no better place to educate a child than in a loving home with a motivated parent. And ultimately, although we're all homeschoolers and we're kind of, okay, yes, we're schooling our kids at home, we're giving their education at home, I view it as so much bigger than that. I view it as we're redeeming their childhoods. We are redeeming their childhoods. And maybe we're even giving our kids childhoods that we didn't have ourselves. And I think that is so purposeful and special and really irreplaceable, and studies even show, we know this in the last 50 years of psychological research on child psychology, that the number one thing a child needs is a secure connection with their parent. Of course they say parent or caregiver, but in our case, it's the parent. And so if that is the core of what's going to build and cultivate a beautiful human being, why are we looking to the school system? It will never give us that. It's empty.
That's exactly right. Yes, I totally agree. That is so good. So I'm just reminding you all out there that this is just a tiny taste of what you will get when you come to Thrive and hear Christy speaking. So I hope this is getting all of you out there super excited like it is me. I am ready to come in May, ready for May to get here. All right. So we talked a little bit about, you started on TikTok. You have this huge social media following, so many followers across the different platforms. Do you feel like that social media, and you spoke to this a little bit already, but do you feel like it helps or hurts moms, families that, especially moms, I think, that are really just craving community? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do. I actually do. And here I am, a social media quote unquote influencer. But, and there's more that I want to share on this. We know this. There are studies now coming out on the effects of social media. We know that in children, it's leading to anxiety and depression. For women, particularly mothers, it is presenting to us a curated, idealized version of blank, fill in the blank, homeschooling, life, mothering, right? Whatever. They're not real versions. I often joke because brands often like me to do a day in the life video. Do you know those day in the life videos where it's like, come with me as I homeschool my kids, right? And it's so funny. I was telling Thrive Homeschool Community on a Zoom last week, I was like, girls, what you don't realize is like I'll only agree to like one of those a year. I try to make them super real, but I go, what you guys realize is I am carrying around lights, cameras. We're doing 3 takes of a particular thing. I'm like, I just want you guys to know, those creators out there that are doing that every day, like they're not getting any homeschooling done, right? They're like, okay, let's stir that banana bread for the 10th time, right? It's just not real. I've had to make those. I hate making those. And so I like do them kicking and screaming because I know brands really like it. I know people are curious about, my life. It's like I'm cleaning off I should show you this desk right now. Like this is not Instagram worthy right now. I'm looking at my 14-year-old's homeschooling space right now. There's like food, there's a water bottle, papers crumpled up. But anyway, my point is that we do know that increased time on social media, it does increase anxiety in us. With that, I think that we just need to accept it for what it is and not expecting it to be more than what it is. So very quickly, when I kind of blew up on social media, I was not feeling that connection to people. I wasn't doing the mentoring that I wanted to do. And all I offered at the time were consultations, and I loved doing the consultations. But those also fell short because I met this person once, or this mom and dad once, and then it was like, okay, see ya, I hope you do well. And so when we decided to start Thrive Homeschool Community, which is my online community, that is when the relationships really started. That was when I know the kids' names. I can say, how so-and-so, how was his doctor visit for his vision? How was his this? Did you call that reading specialist? And so that's when the relationship started. So I think that we just need to not expect social media to be more than it is, but also realize the benefits. It's because of social media that I was even able to write a book and start my Thrive Homeschool Community. And so, but we have to be so careful because we're tired at the end of the day. And so what do? We just open our phones and start scrolling. And then, we're not going out to coffee with our friends or this or that. And so we have to be so intentional about carving out that time for in-person real relationships. And I do also think, we're now several years into Thrive where we have a lot of live coaching Zooms. And I will say that I do think you can have a very deep connection on live calls on Zoom, like what you and I are doing now, very real. And so that's also what's exciting is technology can allow for those. I have very close friends all over the nation now. And so I think that just making sure that we are keeping social media in its place. We're realizing that this is curated. Often people are paid to do these videos, and that's not what real life looks like. So, and it's hard because we have shiny object syndrome. Did you ever have that when you were raising your kids where it's like, ooh, that looks good, I should buy that curriculum, or that read aloud looks amazing, click, add to cart. Yeah.
Oh yes, 100%. Yeah. That's so good. I love that. Like, keep it in its proper place. Yes, I love that. That's really good.
That was wonderful. She has so much energy. I need a little bit of that.
I know. It's so true. So true. But I love just her heart. And, she started out in kind of mainstream education, like I think a lot of us did. And I love the shift that she has made just in her mind and with her own kids to homeschooling. And it's so wonderful.
She's very passionate about it. And I think that's the thing, is she cares so much that it makes you care. It's like really wonderful how much she just has a wealth of knowledge coming out of her. So it really, a couple of things struck me when she was speaking, and I want to read this quote that I wrote down from her. And she said, it's really hard to measure character and integrity. And when she said that, it hit me really hard. I stopped the video for a second, I was like, wow. And we've talked before about how we put so much worth into what is the academic that we're teaching right now. Are we making sure that they can do this algebra problem and read so many words a minute, and we cannot forget that we're raising up this generation of young adults that need to be able to function in this world. And there's so much more that we're teaching them. And, what is our example to these children, and they really need to be able to rise up and function and not just be able to do algebra.
Exactly. I love that too. And it's so important, I think, and I remember feeling this way to some extent whenever we were pulling my daughter out of school to start homeschooling. When you're used to the focus being always on, the test results or the grades or whatever it is, it's very difficult to make that shift in your own heart and mind. So I love that Christy will get a chance, and everyone at Thrive will get a chance to hear her and just, be encouraged to make that shift and focus on what really is important at the end of the day.
Right. And I think that some of her talking is going to do a good job. She said, you can't separate parenting from homeschooling. And we've talked before about the struggle with, especially moms in the household being that parent all the time. And then you're trying to do school, and do you make it be separate? Do you separate yourself? Do you become a different person when you're homeschooling? Or is your everyday life all lending itself to an opportunity for learning and learning by example? And it's a really interesting thing to think about. And I think that moms put so much pressure on themselves to just get it all right, when we need to slow down a little bit, love on the kids a little bit, instead of just being so upset all the time that we're not getting them to learn something that they need to learn. And
it's so true. It's so, so true. And goodness, we see it on the internet all the time. I hear it from phone calls. I read it in emails, people asking, how do you make the shift from mom to teacher and all of that? And I love just in my own house, when I really made that mental shift from homeschooling is just about education over to, okay, homeschooling is our whole life. Let me say that better than what I just did. Homeschooling encompasses so much more than just bookwork and education. It really is parenting. It really is just going about your life with your kids and all the things that are involved in being a family. And that's another one of those mental shifts that you have to make. But once you do, the freedom and the joy that I felt, that I reclaimed kind of in my own life, it made such a difference for me. It really did. So I'm thrilled about that too.
When you're actually growing them up to go the way they should go, and not just what they've learned, just who they are and who they can be, and letting them know that they can be whatever that is.
Exactly. And let me just say, I have said it before on this podcast. I've said it in Homeschool Helps. I've said it at Thrive. The academics will come. The academics will come. They will learn what they need to learn. Don't just shove it away. Don't get rid of it, of course, but don't let that control every aspect of your life. So be encouraged with that.
Definitely. I think one of the things is when we, as the mom or teacher, start focusing so much on that, and there's that frustration between the child and the parent, and that's all that they're getting is that frustration, the angry mom, then that's what life becomes, is there's just this angry mom that wants me to learn and I'm not learning. And I think it's counterproductive. So
yes, for sure. For sure.
Right.
And I loved, so, we have talked multiple times about the importance of coming to Thrive. But I think Christy's analogy of going in person to a conference being the difference of like hearing a song on the radio or on a recording and hearing it live in concert was so cool. I was like, oh, that is so true. It's so true. Because, especially in this online world that we live in, you can get webinars, resources everywhere, but that in-person experience is so different and it's so important. So I really loved that a lot too. And I hope that you all out there listening, when you heard that in this interview, I hope it just spurred you on to say, okay, I'm going to go to Thrive because we want you there.
It is the best experience to be there in person, put your hands on all of that curriculum, but be surrounded by your community that is all in the same place. And it's a great place to lean on each other and get lifted up and hear these workshops where they really are filling you with the joy to be able to do what we do on a daily basis.
Yes, absolutely. That's so good. All right. Well, that was awesome. So now, do we have any news?
So we do want to repeat again that Capital Fest is going to be on April the 2nd, and that information is on our website under the events tab. If you go all the way to the bottom of the events tab, it will say Capital Fest, and you can get all your information you need there. There also are still, at this time, you can go and get tickets for the Biltmore House. And then, as we mentioned last week, there's a new field trip to go to the North Carolina Transportation Center. And that will be a wonderful, wonderful field trip that takes place on April the 25th. And of course, you want to go get your Thrive tickets, your Thrive registration. And I also want to mention at Thrive, we have a graduation ceremony that if you have a graduating senior, you can participate in. And you can go onto the website and click on Graduate Central and get all the information that you need about graduation there.
Yes. I can't wait for that. I know I look so forward to helping out with that every year, and you do as well. It is just, it's wonderful. It's hard to even put into words. It's so good. It's so good. Well, I think that's all we have for you today. Be sure to check out the show notes. There will be links to all that we told you about, so you can just click and get all the information that you need. As always, we love hearing from you. If you have any questions, show ideas, feedback, anything you want to tell us, you can reach us at thehomeschoolshow@nche.com. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends. We love just getting out there. We love encouraging homeschoolers. And the only way we can do that is if you help us by sharing. So please do that. And last but not least, keep homeschooling with confidence and joy. Bye-bye.